Been 2 years since I last did a version of this video, and such a lot has happened in that time. So I am delighted to come to you with a new updated version of the story of Donut, my £1 horse. So last time I filmed this, it was only a month into owning Donut, and it was only my second YouTube video. So I did have a look the other day, and it's not too bad, although something did obviously go wrong with the editing. However, if you do want to go and have a look at it, I will link it up top now. But you might want to watch this one first. Most of you who have been around here for long enough have seen Donut will know who he is. I think most of you will know that I only bought him for £1, which obviously is incredible. Anyway, I'm just going to run you briefly through his story up until now, and then I'm going to sit and answer some of your questions. When was it? The start of May 2022, I took a phone call about a horse, Donut, asking if I would consider taking him on. So his owner, I had only met him twice before. Both times I'd been working. Once was while I was working for a saddle pad company, and I was working in field sales, and I'd gone and done a sales visit to the yard, and I ended up chatting to the owner and selling him some saddle pads. The time before that was when I'd gone with one of my teaching clients and viewed a horse that the same person was selling, and yeah, that they are the two times that I'd had an introduction at the time in 2022. So that they were probably, I would like to say that was like a year before at least. And then in 2022, my clients that I'd gone to view the horse with asked if I was okay with my number being passed on, which I said, yes, that's fine. And I had a phone call from Donut's previous owner. So then I had this conversation with the owner. I found out that he had some health issues and he was having to sell up horse-wise, and he was needing to sell Duncan because obviously, well, not obviously, because I've actually changed Donut's name. I named him Donut, and it wasn't intentional. I will get to that point later on. So at that time, Duncan had been sat in the field. He hadn't been doing a huge amount. The owner had been focusing on other horses, and I think Duncan sort of needed a little bit more work and time putting into him, and the time wasn't there. We know what it's like when we're busy working, so it's easier to keep going with the horses that are on the go and the likes. So realistically, his owner was selling up due to this health issue, which meant that he couldn't ride anymore. And Duncan wasn't really that much of a proposition to sell. He was a nice horse, but the realism of the matter was that he was going to be going for a fairly low price, and often, obviously, you can find people that are good for buying horses at that price, but you have to sort of sift through a lot of people that might just start passing them from pillar to post, or maybe don't have enough knowledge to take on a thoroughbred. So Donut is now an 11-year-old chestnut thoroughbred. He's about 16.3 hands high. At the time, he was 9 years old, and his owner ended up calling me because he'd done his research on me, it turns out. I found out the other day, and he thought that I'd be a suitable person to take him on. With that, I took the phone call. I said, I'll help you sell him if you like. I can sort of get him sold for you and take a little bit of commission, and that works for me. But he said, that's fine, you can sell him if you like, but I what I'd like is actually for you to have him, which was very, very generous of him. And I didn't quite know what to say. I've never been given a horse before, and I agreed to go and try him. So I think it was like the 23rd of May or something, mid-May, I went and had a sit on him, and I thought he was really cool. He'd been out of work for 3 months because obviously his owner had been going through medical testing and all of the likes, and we literally stuck a saddle on him and went. Like, he was raw as anything, but he seemed fairly keen and like a nice boy. He wasn't on the easiest surface at the arena there, but everything seemed fairly okay. So I just said, let me take him home for a week and I'll let you know what I think needs to happen. I took him for a week. I thought he was really cool. I cracked on in that week. I didn't know if he'd jump. So that I was very quickly getting him onto the lunge, having a look to see if he'd managed to pick his feet up over a fence and get on with it. And at the end of the week, I agreed to have him, and I bought him for £1. So we did a proper exchange so that there were, with a receipt and everything to make sure that everything was clear. The horse was now mine. It protects his old owner in terms of I wasn't about to just send him a horse back randomly while he's there trying to sort his health out, because he doesn't know for sure that I'm not the type of person to do that, because he didn't know me that well. But it also protects me from putting value on a horse and then the owner turning around and saying, that's my horse, actually. There's not actually been an exchange in ownership. So we did it properly and it worked really well mutually. We were really happy with that. And that was then when I owned Donut. There'd been a bit of a gap in between trying him and me taking him on and bringing him home because I went away with work. So I then had him from the start of June, and in the time after I got him, he needed loads of strengthening work, needed loads of educating, got taught to jump, learned about going and jumping show jumps, jumping cross-country fences, the works. And very quickly, from the start of June when I got him to then August, he went and did his first events, and he actually went and did his first proper one-day event, which is all documented on here. You can go back through my videos. I apologize if my editing was even worse than it is now, but it is all documented on here. And he did his first ever one-day event at Shelford Unaffiliated at the end of August, and he won it. And at this time, when I was sort of producing him a little bit, I didn't know if I would be keeping him. I only had 3 stables on the yard, and I had Maggie, Titan, and Flint, so no space at the inn, really. So I needed to know that either it was going to be worth the hassle of trying to keep an extra horse when I only had 3 stables over winter, that it was going to be worth it, or I needed to be able to move him on before the end of winter. So I really cracked on and pushed forwards with what we were doing. And what I discovered was basically I had the most amazing trainable brain that you could never have picked out sat underneath me, and I fell in love with him pretty instantly. So from there, you'll be able to see if you look back on all of my videos. But from there, he did that unaffiliated 80. He then qualified for championships. He came 5th at that championships at the Brigante Cup, and then he did his first 2 B90s. I then wintered him in field shelters with Flint so that we could keep him because I wasn't at my current yard at the time. He enjoyed living out. He and Flint became best of friends. And then 2023, he came straight out at B100 level at the start of the season. And by the end of last year's season, he qualified for badminton grassroots. And his very last event of the season, he did his first ever B novice. Which was my first ever novice clear as well. So I've been beyond grateful to have him. This season, we've had an amazing season. We went around badminton, we've done novices, we've got a lot more mileage at that. And then, of course, we've done our first 2-star to finish off the season. So I am the luckiest girl in the world. I don't know how I've been so lucky to find such an amazing horse, but I have. And I absolutely and completely adore him. It's not been an easy road. He's not been naturally talented in the show jumping, but he is so brave and so willing to try. We've got more training to do. He's not the finished article. He's got some sub 30 dressage scores this season. He's done really well in the dressage. We're getting better at the novice dressage, but now we're both learning at the same time because I've not been riding at this level before either. And he's just the best partner in crime. I absolutely love him. I'm still friends with his owner to this day. We still go and meet up for a coffee occasionally, and I fill him in on what Donut's been up to. And yeah, I just am so beyond grateful to have been given this opportunity and for it to have worked out like it has. So before I answer some questions, I'm just going to show you, this is a unseen video. I'm going to show you his first ever cross-country round around Shelford, and then I'm going to follow it straight up with his 2-star round at Osberton, and you can see the difference that there is, and then I'll answer some questions.
Hey, where have you been? I've been looking for you now and then. Someone just like you, who can make me feel the way you do. 'Cause if I'm the ocean, you're the rain. We only need each other, baby, you know we're the same. Let's run away. All I need is you, now and always. You and me, we don't need no one else than each other. You and me. We could run away. You and me together, baby, we don't gotta stay. Let's lose our minds. We could go crazy and leave it all behind. It could be glorious, 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 glorious. It could be glorious, 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 glorious. Say what you feel. I don't even know if this is real. How can you like me? You're as close to perfect as anyone can be. You and me, we don't need no one else than each other. You and me. We could run away. You and me together, baby, we don't gotta stay. We don't have to stay. Let's lose our minds. We could go crazy and leave it all behind. It could be glorious, 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 glorious. It could be glorious, 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 glorious.
First time I ever saw you, I fell in love when you entered the room. And when the light hit your face, we were just kids, but I knew right away that I will be with you until I stop breathing. I will keep loving you as long as my heart's beating. Oh, hold me close, promise you won't let go. keep loving you as long as my heart's beating. Oh, hold me close, promise you won't let go. I'm nothing without you. I don't know what I would do without you. You are the one I choose. I wanna grow old with you. I'm nothing without you. I don't know what I would do without you. Do without you. Do without you. Do without you. You. Do without you. Do without you. Do without you. We're like kids in the ballrooms, dancing all night with our stomachs full of butterflies. First time I saw your face, I fell in love. Oh, I can't believe you are mine. I'll never let you down. I'll never let you down.
What a long way he has come, hasn't he? I mean, gosh, what a clever boy. Right, now, I've got some questions on here. First question was, why is he such a legend? I don't know. I don't know, but he is so amazing. I don't know what I did to deserve him, but yeah, he is a legend. I 100% agree. But I don't really know why. Like, other than the fact that he's got an amazing brain and temperament, he's just so cool. Okay, what are my long-term goals with Donut? To do the best that we can do and have fun while doing it. That's the long-term goals. Okay, next question. How come he only costed £1? So I feel like I've explained this. Obviously, his old owner needed to sell up Horsewise. He was being completely out of the industry and not going to have anything to do with horses anymore while he got himself better. And Donut wasn't very sellable as he was. He'd been sat in a field, not doing a huge amount. And, you know, thoroughbreds don't tend to be worth quite as much anyway. Like, you can't just sell them off their breeding. So he was going to be worth, I don't know, a few grand. And his owner chose that he wanted to be able to place him with somebody instead. And that's why he gifted him to me for £1. Okay, let's see. I really like this question. So this one said, did I know Donut before I was offered him for £1? Well, no, I didn't know him. But obviously I'd been and viewed a horse with a client when I very first met his old owner. And at that time, I think he was up for sale then, which had been like a year, 18 months beforehand. And I remember going home to mum because I said to the owner, my clients bought the other horse. We really liked it. I remember saying to him, do you have anything else for sale, just so I know in case anybody I know of is looking? And he said, oh yes, I've got a chestnut and it's out in the field over there. And he pointed to him and I saw him stood in the field. And I went home and I said to mum, I said, God, there's a really smart chestnut thoroughbred in the field out at that yard. I really like him. If I had the money and the space, I'd probably buy him. I never said anything to the owner. I never rang up about him. I actually passed his details on to somebody else and said, I think you should go buy this horse. He looks really good. And they didn't. And yeah, so no, I didn't know him. I didn't get to see him close up, but I did. I guess it was like love at first sight. I saw him from a distance and I was like, that looks like an amazing horse. And yeah, he is. So, okay, next question. Oh, while I'm at it, shall I tell you the story of the donut? So he was called Duncan. I went away for work for a couple of weeks before I could take him home. I hadn't seen his passport, but I had agreed to having him. So obviously we had quite a few conversations about plans for him before he came home. And I remember saying to Mum, I wonder what his show name is. And knowing that he was a thoroughbred and Wetherby's passport, technically an ex-racer, I was like, I really hope he doesn't have a silly racing name, something like Dunkin' Donut or something, you know, as a play on word for Dunkin' Donuts. And yeah, that's when it just stuck. It was like, yep, donut it is. And then the day we brought him home, he went straight up to the electric fencing, put his leg out, put it in the fence, and pulled it all down. So he really was a donut, and that's why it stuck. So it feels very strange calling him Duncan ever, because he just gets called donut these days. What do I plan on doing with him in 2025? My goals and aims for 2025 is to get competitive at novice level. That was never the aim for this year. We were aiming for mileage at novice level. Also to get competitive at 2-star level. And then I would really like to do an intermediate by the end of next year with him. And yeah, see how we go. Never know, maybe a 3-star. Maybe, maybe not. Would I ever take him hunting? No. He is incredibly delicate and sensitive. He takes a lot of managing to keep his body happy, and he's also incredibly strong, which is fine. He's a good boy. I know that he wouldn't ever actually take me for a complete and utter ride, but I don't think I'd ever stop him again if I went hunting. So Maggie, I take out with the bloodhounds. I do like taking her out. It just wouldn't be suitable for Donut. How big is Donny? He's about 16'3". He's quite a big boy. He's quite long as well, quite a big unit. I'm only 5'2", so he's quite a lot for me to hold together. But luckily, I'm quite short in the body and long in the legs, so it doesn't look so bad when I'm sat on board. Look about the right sides. And he's obviously not very broad because he's just a thoroughbred. Winter training plans. What are my winter training plans? I want to get him really strong. That is my first and foremost, and that's what I'm working on at the minute. He's having some downtime where he's being worked every other day, because if I give him complete and utter time off, he'll go and stick his leg in the electric fence or do something silly. But he's hacking and doing pole work in hand and lunging and the likes just while he has a little bit of downtime. And then I really want to keep going with my dressage lessons with Amy and work on that and work on our show jumping. My plans are to register him and Maggie with British show jumping, and I want to be confidently jumping around 115s by the end of the season, and probably have jumped a couple of 120s too. That sounds scary saying that. Hey ho, we'll get on with it. How I approached training Donut and how did I nurture his confidence to be so sturdy? So I took everything at his pace as it was. His pace actually turned out to be very fast. He's a very quick learner. He likes being occupied. To make his confidence so sturdy, it was literally a case of repeating stuff like in baby steps until he felt confident. So it was literally like keep going at the level until he was happy and confident at the level. He didn't like ditches when we started off with him. So I went out with my friends. So I went cross-country schooling for the first time and I only managed to get him over a ditch ridden once, even though some people offered me a lead and I had a lunge line and the likes. He was not having any of it. So then I went to a different venue with some smaller ditches and met my friend there, and we literally just followed her over ditch after ditch after ditch. And he's still a little bit iffy with ditches, I'd say. Everything else he's quite solid with. But yeah, we just kept doing it until he felt happy and confident with it. And yeah, that's kind of how I've gone about it. Everything you do with him, you have to be quite quiet because he's quite sharp and buzzy, and he really doesn't like getting stuff wrong. You don't tell Donut off because it really upsets him. So just really quietly nurture him through, slowly, and just let him get it, because if he can get it, he will. He's a really good boy. He tries his best to please. Okay, this one says, what has he struggled the most with in his training and how did you help him? I'm just trying to think. When I first started competing him, he really struggled with warm-ups. He didn't like warm-ups where people came too close to him. I particularly had a bit of a meltdown with him at his first BE. Was it his first BE? I think it was at Ask and Brian. And someone nearly crashed into him quite a lot of times in the warm-up, and he had a meltdown in the dressage ring. So with that, I was really cautious about making sure people stayed away from him and giving him lots of space in the warm-up. And we also put like sound defender type ears on him for quite a long time for the dressage because it helped him focus. He doesn't really need them now, but yeah, we did that. So he really helped with that. And in his training, I'm just trying to think what he's really struggled with. He's always been very willing to do everything to try and, tried his absolute best. I'd say he's really struggled with his coordination with his jumping. Like he's been quite a naturally talented jumper, but he's got very long legs. So trying to get them up and organized is quite a lot of work, and he naturally would like to just gallop very fast at everything. And he has a lot more respect for cross country jumps and show jumps, but he definitely has got a conscience. And if he can leave stuff up, he will usually. But what I've done with that is lots of pole work and lots of grid work, and I still have more to do, I'd say. Grid works also helps. He always struggled with doubles when he first started. He found them really strange and spooky. And even the start of this year, after he'd had a break, he was like, nope, can't jump through a double anymore. He'd just like try and run out to the side and stuff. But yeah, we've just, like I do everything really, just keep repeating it in sort of small baby steps and working our way up. Next question. How old is he? He's 11 now, so he'll be 12 next year, but he's incredibly low mileage because he didn't really do anything up until him being 9 years old. How much did all of the equipment cost when retraining Donut? I'm just trying to think. I'm quite lucky because I had a lot of the equipment, and he went into a saddle that I already had here. Since getting him, I've bought him two bridles, so that's, I don't know, like £100 a piece, I think, and I've got him a new bit and the like. I don't know exactly because he'll have been able to go into a lot of the equipment I already had, which is good, thank goodness. Otherwise, I'd be bankrupting myself. The thing that did cost a lot was getting his feet right with farriery. I have an amazing farrier, but Donut does have like pads and dental impression on because his feet were in quite a state when I got them, just sort of typical thoroughbred state that they can get into sometimes, where they were just crumbling after 2 weeks of being shod, and it was giving me a nervous breakdown constantly. But we've got them into a position now where he's due shoeing on Monday, and you wouldn't know. I think, yeah, he went to Osberton on fresh shoes and didn't get footsore, and everything's a lot better. But that was probably the most expensive thing, and it is still quite expensive now. I think when he has a new set of shoes, it costs £130 or something each time, and that's without paying for any new pads. But yeah, I am going to do a video, I think about the end of this month, on exactly how, I dread to think what this is going to look like, how much money it's cost me to run 2 event horses this year. So that'll give you a bit more of an insight if you're interested. Do you let me know if that's sort of video you'd like to watch, because there's no point me making it if you guys don't want to watch it. But I thought it might be interesting because obviously different ends of the spectrum with horses can cost different amounts. But I can tell you what mine cost. I don't know if I want to see it. I might be rocking in a dark room, but I'll happily do that for you guys. Okay. I like this question too. Being a redhead usually means hot, sensitive, and a bit wild. Is that the case with Donut? And if so, do you do anything different to manage it? Now, obviously, both my current event horses are chestnuts, redheads. They are both hot, sensitive, and very sassy in two completely different ways. Both of them have incredibly sensitive skin. So obviously at Osberton we had a bit of trouble with Donut where he had a reaction to the water he'd been washed off with. So yeah, I do a lot of stuff to manage it. It's stuff like when he's been through a water complex, I spray his legs down with disinfectant. If he gets a tiny nick, I'm on it like a rash. It gets hippie scrubbed, cold hosed, the works, because otherwise the next day he would have an elephant leg. He is also sensitive in his temperament. Like, you don't, as I mentioned before, you don't go telling him off or upsetting him because it would just really upset him, and it's not nice, and he doesn't need that in his life. He is quite hot to ride, and at the moment you're on board, he gets G'd up and he likes his job, he likes doing what he's doing. And if you were to do dressage and really bore him and he suddenly decides he doesn't want to do it, I have been taken for a bit of a spin run around a field before. But as a rule, he's pretty, he's solid. I'd trust most people on him, providing they didn't get on him and clamp their legs around him, because you don't kick donut. You don't need to. In the stable, he's chill as anything. He's so like mellow. He goes to sleep. He's never ever naughty. He's always a good boy. He loves going and doing his fast work. He loves his jumping. But yeah, the real management is like in his day-to-day body management, for sure. Just making sure his feet are right, his feed is right, making sure that he's not got any nicks on him. Like, he earlier this week, he had swollen hind legs because he'd got a tiny nick on it. So I got back from being out and his legs weren't swollen when he came in, and then I went out for the evening, came back, it was like 10:30 at night, saw that his legs had swelled up, and I was straight away cold hosing them and then disinfecting them, because I knew just otherwise it would be so much worse the next day. But yeah, it's all manageable. It's not terrible. It's not awful stuff. It's just making sure everything's right for him. And if you do that, then he gives you the world back. So I don't think that's an unfair exchange. Did he ever race? No, he didn't ever race. He was too clumsy. And he's still quite clumsy now. If he's walking along being turned out for the field, he'll often fall over his own feet. And yet, when you pick him up to ride, he's so coordinated and quick with his feet. So, no, he was actually bred here. That's how I got the yard here. I contacted his breeders when I was looking for somewhere to rent when I needed to move. And yeah, they bred him here to be national hunt horse. I don't think his conformation came out how it should have been. He was really clumsy, and that's when they sold him to his owner that gave him to me. Up to what level would you like to compete on Donut? The highest level that I can manage is the complete honest answer. It depends on where his confidence lies, where my confidence lies, and where his body is happiest. If it starts being too much of a strain on his body, I won't go any further. I did think when we were at Osberton, I did think I'd hit my maximum walking that 2-star course, but the moment we'd jumped around it, I was desperate to try again and go further. So I don't think we'd hit our maximum. I just think that maybe it was just quite daunting. So yeah, if 5 stars on the cards for him and the stars were to align, I would enter if I could. But who knows? There's so many more experienced riders than me, and so much more like bred for the job horses than Donut that have tried and failed to get there. I do think like that level of the sport, the stars do have to literally align to be able to do it. So whatever we do, I am just so grateful to have him, and I love every second of it. Do I plan on selling him one day? No. Obviously, when I first got him, I considered the option, but now that he's here, he is part of the family. I adore him. He owes me nothing. I don't know what the future would hold at the point when I finish competing with him. I find it a bit hard to plan ahead these days since Titan, because I did not see losing him coming. So I just take each day as it comes. I don't plan on selling Donut. It's not in the plan. How long do I exercise Donut for on a regular week compared to a competing week? He needs quite a bit of work to keep strong, so it doesn't have to be intensive. But I'll probably he'd probably do at least 2 hacks that are like 40 minutes long, and some schooling sessions that are between 20 and 40 minutes that are really high quality. The hacks, I always try and do hill work, and then I usually do a fast work once a week that lasts like an hour, where it's 20 minutes hacking to the gallop. I probably end up doing like 20 minutes of galloping up and walking back down, because it's quite a long hill gallop, and then 20-minute hack back. Maybe it might take me longer on the hack back, so it's probably 10 to 15 minutes with the canter work, and then like 25 to 30 minutes hack home. So yeah, I don't know. I probably ride him 5 days a week. At the minute, he's doing even less than that. It's technically his holiday. I'm just working him for 20 minutes. The hacks are probably 30 minutes to 40 minutes, but just walk and trot. And yeah, the lunging's like 20 minutes max anytime I ever lunge, and any schooling's really light. But yeah, on a normal maintenance week, he's probably been worked on for an average of 30 to 40 minutes per day, at least 5 days a week. And then on competition weeks, it's probably similar, to be fair, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit more intensive. Yeah, the most popular question was, what level do I want to compete him to? I don't think I've ever been terribly secretive about it. My goals, if I could, would be to get to the absolute pinnacle of the sport, but there's a whole lot more learning and work to do. Who knows where we'll get to, but yeah, we will try our hardest. I think that was everything. I definitely think that was all of the questions. I don't think I've missed any. I'm sorry if I've missed one, but yeah, I hope you found that interesting. And that is the story of my amazing £1 horse. Make sure to subscribe if you want to follow our journey, because there is more to come. And thank you so much for watching. So I will see you very soon.